Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Steve Breach. We're on the road to Night of Champions 2015. Tomorrow night is going to be Monday Night Raw, August 31st, on the way to Night of Champions, as we were saying. It's been announced that Monday Night Raw is going to be able to go off without a hitch. There was a tropical storm warning that a lot of people thought was going to build up steam, pulling through the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico, moving its way towards Miami and Tampa, where Raw and SmackDown are going to be. But it turns out that over water, the tropical storm lost a lot of steam, and it's just going to be a lot of rain and water and flooding heading into that area, and Monday Night Raw is going to be able to go off without a hitch. Maybe there's going to be some people who are scared of the water, and maybe they won't have a full packed house there for Monday Night Raw, but at least we'll have wrestling on Monday and Tuesday. I know that it was a little bit of a worry in WWE, you know, what was going to happen with Raw, SmackDown, main event, what other shows, Superstars, you know, how were they going to get all of these shows off the ground? We're going to have to show reruns, we're going to have to show NXT, where they're going to have to put together a best of SummerSlam special. I'm not sure, but one thing leads to another. WWE is going to be pushing out a show. It's going to have lots of things going down. We're going to find out what's going on with John Cena. We're going to find out who's the #1 contender for the Divas Champion. We're going to find out why Sting was in the box. We're going to get a SummerSlam rematch of Dolph Ziggler going up against Rusev. Lots of big things going down on this Monday Night Raw. And we're going to kick it off with what's going to kick off Monday Night Raw. WWE announced that Sting is going to be in the house for Monday Night Raw, and he's going to explain his actions, why he went after Seth Rollins, why he was the man in the box. You would think, if you're a WWE fan and you watched WrestleMania 31, you would think that Sting and Triple H sort of solved their issues at the end of their match, with the NWO and DX coming down, everybody having the big hug-a-thon of WWE and WCW, sort of coming together under one umbrella, being WWE WrestleMania 31. But it turns out Sting is still all up in the authorities' business. I'm not quite sure if maybe that was just sort of like a WWE moment where they peel back the curtain, and instead of waiting to get to the back, everybody hugs inside of the ring, and it's sort of showing there's no hard feelings. Maybe it was because Sting was out of WWE for so long. You know, he was, once WCW closed down, he sort of had no interest in coming to WWE. You know, TNA, who was like a far away #2 at that point, was able to bring Sting in. The question was always, you know, if Sting wants to wrestle, why is he wrestling for Jeff Jarrett and Dixie Carter? Why is he not wrestling for Vince McMahon? And he's done interviews where he basically talked about, you know, how Booker T, how Booker T was treated once he came on television by The Rock, and The Rock basically was like, who are you? And Sting's like, you know, if they're gonna basically portray Booker T as a guy that nobody knows, even that was The Rock's, you know, catchphrase. He said that to Stone Cold Steve Austin. He said it to The Undertaker. He said it to Triple H. He said it to the Dudley Boys, Booker T, anybody that was in his way. Doesn't matter if they were, you know, a WWE guy, if they were a WCW guy, an ECW guy. You know, that was what The Rock was going to do. I don't know if maybe, you know, just Sting took it out of context or what, but, you know, he had his reasons, thinking Vince McMahon was never going to treat him as a main eventer. He was going to, you know, portray Sting as being less, because most WCW guys, you know, got the lesser end of the stick when they went there. But, you know, there wasn't a lot of main event guys that went from WCW to WWE. Most of the time, it was the other way around. You know, Vince used them up until the point he really didn't have anything else for him, and they split, and they went down there. Nobody really had gone, you know, the WCW, except for maybe the Big Show, where they were on the rise. Their contract came up, they jumped. Maybe you can look at Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is a guy that maybe got some momentum in WCW, and then once the writing was on the wall that he was going to leave, that's when WCW cut him off. It took him a while to get going in WWE, but once he made the jump, and got adjusted. Vince, strapped the rocket to this guy for the most part. If you think about Jericho, he would go on to become the first ever dual champion by becoming WCW and WWE champion by beating The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the same night. He would go on to main events at WrestleMania. So you can see that, Vince did use WCW guys right. Maybe he fucked up on the Big Show a little bit, but there were times in the Big Show's career he really did make out. But one thing leads to another. At the end of the match at WrestleMania 31, Triple H and Sting, they shake hands, they hug, even though it took Triple H hitting him with a sledgehammer right in between the eyes to get the 1, 2, 3. Sting's a part of the family. They sit down, they do the Monday Night War documentary Blu-ray set together where they talk about WCW versus WWE. And now all of a sudden Monday Night Raw comes last week. They unveiled the Seth Rollins, and instead of Seth Rollins a statue, we got Sting underneath there. And it just sort of makes guys scratch their head, sort of like with they're talking about The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. It doesn't make a lot of sense because they're acting as if Undertaker was never around after WrestleMania 30. He was so heartbroken. He was gone for WWE for 16 months. But it's like, whoa, wait a minute. He only made one appearance for WrestleMania 31. He came out and he beat Bray Wyatt in the semi-main event. And but all of a sudden, WWE, Michael Cole is acting like, we've never seen this guy before. I know that you don't want to remember that match because of how it was, but one thing leads to another. It happened. And people that saw WrestleMania 31 saw Sting and Triple H have that embrace. And now all of a sudden, Sting's messing with his plans again. So we have to see what he's going to say. And maybe WWE's going to make one of these little magicianal, just, rewrite the story and see what goes down. But Sting's going to kick off Monday Night Raw. It's going to be his return. And we're going to hear why he's fighting Seth Rollins for the championship.